Hello rose lovers and welcome back to my channel. If you think that because it's winter you can take some vacation and be away from your rose garden, think again. Even if the weather is not so friendly and it's not very pleasant to stay outside, there are plenty of jobs to do to maintain the garden and the tools, and now is the perfect time to execute on them. I am sure you have your own list, but here I want to share my to-do list for the winter going into the spring. The first one on my list, and this is one thing that I was able to cross off, was to clean and sharpen my secateurs. It was a long process, but I am happy that it's done now. They look awful from all the plants up, and some of them because I used a solution based on bleach to disinfect them last summer between deadheading my roses. I will make sure I will not use that again because it has created more work that is worth. I started by cleaning them a little bit with some antibacterial cleaner, then I placed a few of them in vinegar and I let them soak for 3 days. After that, a major part of the rust was simply melted away. This was a cheap way to do it with what I had at home, but after that experience I cannot recommend always using vinegar because it might ruin some of the parts. So be aware of that. If you want to see more details about the process, you can click the link above and see that episode. Basically what I did after I soaked them, I sharpened them on a sharpening stone that I kept under water to hydrate for a few days, and after that I used a tool, a diamond, for sharpening secateurs. They came up decently and I can get my job done with them, but I guess there is always room for improvement and I could have spent more time, better and finer stones for the sharpening. This is a craft in itself, so there is more to learn and practice about this. But you can give it a go. At the end of the day, what do you have to lose? An old secateur that are not working anyway? It is worth giving it a shot before you go out and buy a new one. It feels nice to have them clean, sharpened and ready to go for the next season. The second job on my list was to seek ways to expand my rose collection. During the year, I have done some research and I came up with a list of roses that I would like to have, and I set my mind that I will wait for the bare root season. So now I went ahead and I placed a few orders and I added quite a few roses to my garden. I couldn't be happier with my choices. Here is a link with an unboxing episode that I have posted in December if you are interested to see them. Please stay tuned if you want to see updates on how they are doing. Come spring I will make a video about them. The third job that it comes like a consequence of the second one is to assess your space and to come up with solution to make space for all the new roses. There is always the option to plant them in pots, but even if it seems easier, it's a lot more maintenance involved in that. They always depend on you for water and nutrients, and of course you need big enough pot where the roots will have plenty of space to grow. Even so, that pot may be obsolete in 2 or 3 years and you will have to plant them into the ground or provide an even bigger pot. What I did in my garden was to study each flower bed that correspond to a fence panel and to decide to plant 2 roses instead of 1 where the space and the rose characteristic will permit. Just a few examples. Here I had Rose Jardina, a vigorous climber, that was planted at the middle of the fence with the idea to train it in both directions when it will grow. But then I had the idea that if I will plant Strawberry Hill, which is a small climber, to the left, and Wild Eve, which is a large shrub, to the right, they will fit perfectly. In the left hand side I have nothing planted and I will have enough space for a short climber. Another bonus is that it smells amazing and it will be a pleasure to have it close to my polytunnel where I can stop more often to admire and smell the flowers. About Wild Eve, this is a very large shrub and it makes perfect sense for me to have it on this side of the garden that is more open and will have more space to grow. Just another example is here where I figure out that I can clean the grass and extend this flower bed, and I can plant another rose in front of the camellia and the rhododendron. Here I planted Sunny Sky. The fourth to do on my list is to add more structures like arches or pergola to the garden. This is closely related to number 3 and it starts in the same way. Assess your space and see if you can add more structures to create a point of interest in your garden or to create more space for growing. For example, here in front of the garden gate, I decided to put a garden arch and a trellis, and I absolutely love how it already transformed the space. I cannot wait to see it in the summer. After installing the arch, I was able to plant 3 climbers at the base. They will fill the space beautifully and they will make for a nice screen to hide the untidy part of the garden. This is something you cannot eliminate from your garden because you need some space for the compost heap or to store hoops or other garden related stuff. I will also make use of this half garden fence and train a few canes horizontally, so in this way I will have space to grow more roses onto the arch, on the trellis and on the fence. The fifth job is to clean up fallen leaves and debris. It is recommended to remove old leaves and dead plant material to reduce disease risk. The sixth job on my list is to add mulch around the base of the plant to insulate roots from freezing temperature. Here I have done a hue from David Austin, and as you can see, the grafting point and part of the roots are exposed. This happens because after planting, the soil has settled down. I apply a good few inches of compost and I make sure that the grafting point is covered and well protected. Another job is to take care of your labels. It's very important to stay organized and it's so easy to mix up plants and to not know which one is which. It is important especially for roses because you need to know the variety in order to know how to prune them or how much space to allow for them into the flower bed or if you need to provide a structure to climber or not. So make sure you order some labels or even better make your own. I have made all my labels using a wire and a yogurt container. I cut some rectangular shapes about 7 by 5 centimeters and I punch the corners. Then I write down the name of the plants as it's easier to do it now. If not, you can do it also later. Then take the wire and bend it like a U shape, leaving enough space to accommodate the width of the label. Adjust the U corners with some pliers and feed the wire through the 4 corners of the label. Make sure you are using a permanent marker, although even that can fade away. In this case, look for a good marker and check your old labels and refreshen them a little bit. Number 8 on my list is to prune your roses. This is a very important job that needs to be done if you want to have healthy and nice looking roses. Roses love pruning. It is definitely a learning curve and it takes some time and practice to master it. There are a few main rules on how to do it, but most of the pruning process is your decision on how you want to shape the rose or train it to grow. So the main rule is to take out everything that is dead, disease or crossing. Try to clear out the center of the plant for as much airflow as possible and eliminate all spindly branches, anything less than the size of a pencil. Those canes will be too thin to hold a bloom. One more thing that I take into account when pruning my roses is to try to cut above an out-facing bud so the new branches will grow towards the outside of the plant. When you are done, the rose should look like a vase shape with a hollow center for good airflow. There are many videos on the internet to learn how to do it, but I will be filming the process of pruning my roses, as I think it will be interesting to see what I will do with them, being their first ever cut. The ninth and the last job is to inspect for pests and disease. Check for overwintering pests or fungal issues and address them before spring. In this case, I found some eggs. I suppose they are some aphids. I tried to squish them, but they are so hard, so the best solution is to cut off the stem if possible. That's my list of my to-do jobs for my rose garden this winter. I am sure that every single action will contribute towards a more productive and enjoyable garden come summer. Please share in the comments below if there is something you are doing for your rose garden during the winter. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye!